On today's episode of Huber Hype, we're talking about big bad bosses. Hey everyone, welcome to Huber Hype, and today we're talking about bosses from each specific generation of video games, going through the evolution from NES to where we are now. But first, PC, kind of nebulous, no definitive generations. We're gonna start off there. So it's the early 90s, you know, I'm sitting in the same room where my parents sleep. We got that Aptiva computer. So first encounter, we used to have the DOS shareware floppy disks. Used to run the same levels over and over again because it was so limited. Had to finish the fight, had to find Mecha Hitler, ended up buying the disc-based version. We're stabbing dogs, we're shooting Nazis, we're picking up chalices, we're collecting gold, we're getting through all the way to who? Mecha Hitler. If this guy wasn't evil enough, they gotta strap his head into some robotic, cyber demon-esque military minigun shooting thing. So I'm hiding behind pillars, you know, he's a big lumbering idiot in this big mechanized suit. You finally take him down, you beat the game, you're thinking the war is over, Hitler's dead, until years later, return to Castle Wolfenstein, you gotta do it all over, because when you chop off the head of a snake, another one rises up, death head, bastard. Moving on to the Nintendo Entertainment System NES. Who better, who more definitive than the boss of all bosses, King Koopa, Bowser. Now in Super Mario Bros. 1, you know, you would just go through his castle as you would fight him multiple times, or like there were clones of him. Who even knows? No context. Kyle Bossman would be pissed. You're jumping over, you're hitting a switch. It's not even a fair fight. Cue Super Mario Bros. 3. Fighting through the gauntlet of all the Koopa kids to culminate in the epic clash of Mario vs. Bowser one-on-one. There were actually tactics in this fight. You had to stomp. He stomped you on the bricks. You had to dodge, and he moves quick for a big guy. Until finally, that last brick he slams through, plummeting to his death. You save the princess. Next up, Sega Genesis, Shiva, Streets of Rage 2. He's not even the final boss, but he has way more of an impact on Axel's personal struggle in this fight for redemption on the Streets of Rage. You're going through the game, level by level. You finally get to the final level. Cue some epic music, Don. Let's hear this. Let's hear the soundtrack. There it is. All right, so you're going through the hotel. Elevator ride up, fighting every single boss you already slayed until you get to the throne room. Out of nowhere, Shiva attacks. He's Mr. X's right-hand man. Axel has a flaming punch. He's got a flaming kick. The dance back and forth between these two equal adversaries. Axel went down the path of good, Shiva went down the path of evil. They're basically the same person. He would rear his head again in Streets of Rage 3, where he was now the boss of the first level, and later a playable character. Next up, PlayStation 1. A lot of bosses, remember. We're not going to be able to cover them all. You might be thinking Sephiroth. How do you not pick Sephiroth? Here's why. Nemesis! Umbrella's masterpiece of an experiment gone right. A thinking tyrant hunting down the STARS members like their names on a bingo book. Hunting down Jill Valentine with one mission: to exterminate her so she doesn't reveal the secrets about Umbrella. This guy hunts you down through the entire game. Every time you think he's dead, he comes back. He's worse than the Terminator, finally transforming into some hideous beast at the end that you need to use some space cannon to finally destroy. Nemesis is the perfect experiment and Wesker wishes he was half the man Nemesis is. Next up, PlayStation 2, Metal Gear Solid. You knew it was coming somewhere, you know, PS1 could have been Psycho Mantis, but we're gonna give it to the end. This old war veteran has seen more war than the Boss, Big Boss, Solid Snake, all of them combined. He's seen it all. You want to talk about outdoing yourself, Kojima. This boss fight is more than a boss fight. It's a war of attrition. It's a thinking man's game. There's no music. Set the tone with no dramatic music. Just silence and the sound of animals in the distance and near you and the river flowing. There's multiple ways to track him. Use your thermal goggles to find his footprints on the ground, or see his sniper scope like an amateur that he is with the sun bouncing off it. Oh, there you are, the end. If you kill his parrot, it's harder for him to track you, but he gets pissed off and fires more aggressively. And last, the creme de la creme, Kojima messing with everyone. If you set your internal PS2 clock years forward, he dies of old age. Sweet poetic justice. It's impossible when we're talking about bosses not to bring up at least one entry from the Souls series. One bosses to rule them all: Dragon Slayer Ornstein, Executioner Smaug, however you want to pronounce his name. The best of the best. For those of you who have not played Dark Souls, you're in a huge area prior to this, and this gargoyle picks you up, flies you to this other huge area. How big is this game? Anor Londo, this pristine castle with images that say 1,000 words. You work your way up to the throne room, and these two fellows come in and say, "Yo, what are you doing here, bud? You're in our house." And it's a showdown to the death. Just their names, the fact that they work together, everything about these two guys just had a yearning inside me to know every single piece of information about who and why and what they had become. Depending on who you kill first, you kill Dragon Slayer Ornstein first. The Executioner, psycho, smashes his bones with a hammer, takes his power for himself. Now it's one-on-one. You kill the Executioner first. Ornstein, a man of honor, takes his colleague's power into himself. And again, it's one-on-one. That fight, ducking and rolling and dodging and parrying and slashing, the culmination of Dark Souls. I don't see how they're ever gonna top it. Last up, we have come full circle. The boss of bosses, Bowser, back to regain his throne as the culmination of bosses, the king of kings. All other bosses fail in comparison to his magnificence. Super Mario 3D World, you know, it's got the catsuit novelty. You know, they're advertising it. Everyone's having a good time. The family's over. You know, your 4 cats running around, hanging out. You know what? Bowser doesn't appreciate it. So he finally has had enough and embraces the evil of the catsuit. He slams down. He takes the bell, taunts you, and says, "You're done, Mario." Puts it on his collar. Turns into this ninja cat maniac. You now have to ascend this spiral staircase platform of death as he's clawing and scratching and jumping on you. He gets the cherry. There's like 15 catsuit Bowsers. They're slamming all over the place. You hit that POW block, and once again, Bowser eats it. It's depressing. Sick of picking on Bowser, you know? The guy, it all started, he invited Princess Peach over to his castle. She knew she was doing things behind Mario's back. She then lied to Mario and said she got kidnapped. Mario came to rescue her, even though she was really just having a good time with Bowser. you know, and Bowser got pissed ever since, and there's just one big misunderstanding. So that's it, bosses. Here are some comments from last week. Survival Horror Part 2 now. Here's what you all thought about survival horror games. Votasis, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Amnesia: The Dark Descent was a great game, very dark. I wish more games inspired by H.P. Lovecraft were released these days. I couldn't agree more. That game is creepy as hell, disturbing. My favorite thing is that they say to best play this game, turn out all the lights and play with your headphones. Love that so much. Their next game, Soma, looks disturbing as well. Hope it's a good one. Next up is Rudolph. One of my all-time favorites are the 2 Condemned games. They were so creepy, and you could never really relax, not even for a second. Tons of jump scares and constant fear. I'm still waiting for Part 3. Those games are incredible, slightly under the radar, bear in a house, hunting you down, mannequins everywhere, psycho serial killers. Excellent. Lastly, Simple Sleep. The scariest game I've ever played was, hands down, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Good one. Coming up on Game Trailers this week, talking about bosses, Damiani's got a special, Kingdom Hearts Mysteries, Xehanort's Ambitions. Guy's a nut job. Heartless? Nobody? Tune in to find out. Also, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on Game Trailers Twitch, Brandon Jones, boss of bosses, Jolly Time. He's got a guest this week. You don't want to miss it. And MLB The Show 15 on PS4. That review will be going up. See how it does compared to last year's entry. And as always, I am Michael P. Huber on Twitter. Let me know some of your all-time favorite bosses. There's too many to count. There's so many we missed. It's depressing. It's limitless. Gotta love a great boss. Let me know some of your favorites. See you next week. Time for Huber's Cue! The sadness of the Quantum Break delay runs deep in my veins. But fear not, go back and play a classic, Max Payne, where you can play as Sam Lake himself, going through, leather jacket and all, 2 pistols, 2 Uzis, the mean streets of New York, the subways, the skyscrapers, the seedy bars, slow motion dive, Matrix John Woo style, spinning and dodging bullets, baseball bat to the face. Check it out.